I pledge to you to take all available steps to produce, create, find, and save jobs for the people of Michigan as your next governor.
Well, the only real issue in Michigan was jobs and the economy. And I remember our pollster saying he'd never seen anything like it when he measured what people were concerned about. It was like 78% said jobs and the economy. He had never seen anything like that. And it was understandable if you lived there as I did, if you grew up there. So during the campaign, even though the state's finances were steadily deteriorating, and I would find out after the election they were far worse than I had thought, my campaign was really waged on jobs and other innovative proposals that we made. And when I was writing my speech for the Democratic Convention, I came up with the line, there are three issues in this campaign: jobs, jobs, jobs. And while I am sure others have used that phrase before that, I never heard anybody use it. I know they have since, but that was the first time where we really pioneered commercials where we said there are three issues: job, job, job. And of course, you have to boil down your campaign to simple messages. And the only regret I had was that after I was elected, I had to deal with Michigan's finances first before we got into our jobs and economic development program. Because no one's going to invest in a state that can't pay its bills. No one's going to invest in a state that goes broke. No one wants to invest in a state with the lowest credit rating in the nation that's borrowing money from Japanese banks to get through the year, which were all happening. The state was running out of cash. So here I was, I got this report from our Financial Crisis Council, in the middle of January before my State of the State message, and they're telling me we got a $1.7, $1.8 billion deficit. We've got an accumulated deficit because of accounting changes that occurred, and then an actual current deficit. So it was, and that doesn't sound like a lot when you're talking about our federal government or Michigan today, but in those days that was a huge shortfall. And so we had to deal with that. And what we did, of course, we raised taxes temporarily. We did cut spending. We froze spending. We did a lot of different things, and we were very unpopular. And history will record that we had 2 state senators recalled. On the other hand, this laid the foundation for our entire recovery. In fact, ultimately, when I left office, we'd had 6 or 7 credit rating upgrades, and we were AA+. But what's interesting about all that is that we would not have been able to invest in universities or fix the roads or do anything without straightening out our finances. Our state treasurer, Bob Bowman, obviously was extremely helpful to me, and I'm proud to have recruited him. But what most people forget is that in 1984, 2 years later, my financial recovery program was on the ballot. Our detractors, our opponents, got enough signatures to have a referendum on our plan, the plan that was very unpopular at the time. And we won that ballot 60-40. We had a major victory. So that told me that given enough time, people saw that we did the right thing. It was a shame that we lost 2 state senators in the meantime in recalls, but ultimately, and that's the part people don't remember, this was on the ballot and we prevailed in a dramatic fashion. In the meantime, we developed a lot of economic development programs with our Commerce Department, dealing with manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, dealing with forest products, food processing, robotics, promoting tourism, a lot of different things, agriculture. And in the end, after 8 years, I was able to leave office with our team working with the private sector, having helped or at least presided over 650,000 net new jobs. I'm not talking about new jobs and losing jobs or jobs retained, 650,000 net new jobs. And we received the largest amount of Japanese manufacturing in America. And in 1987, the largest amount of manufacturing investment. So there were a lot of good things, but the foundation was straightening out the state's finances so we could be a helpful catalyst, whether it was infrastructure or higher education or research and technology. And that's a lesson every governor needs to learn. And it was a real challenge for Jennifer Granholm when she came in, because she was basically left a structural deficit and was not able to deal with it until 4 years later. And so there was a gradual disinvestment in her first term that made it very hard for her to operate.